All right, everybody, welcome back to the channel. Thanks for stopping by. Y'all saw the title of the video. We're going to be getting into a pretty touchy topic today, especially in the black community, that being abortion. Jesse Lee Peterson sat down with an abortion doctor a few years ago, and I think it's a great opportunity to kind of touch on some of the topics and dive into some of this stuff a little bit. Just know that we're not here to quote unquote cast judgment. It's a touchy subject because a lot of people have dealt with abortion and they just don't want to go there with it. They don't want to think about it. They want to block it out. So there's a lot of guilt and things like that involved. So it's hard to even talk about this subject a lot of times. But we're not here to do that. One thing I like about God, I like about the idea of being a Christian is that you're alive right now. So we can always be perfect now or do better now. So if you're alive, like Ye says, God ain't finished. So regardless of what happened in the past, this is not really about that. This is about the agenda. This is about the topic in general and just some layers that goes into abortion, especially with the black community that I definitely want to touch on before I leave this earth. So that's why I'm doing this video. Yeah. So we'll go ahead and get started. I'm going to review pretty much the whole interview and add some salt here and there, and then we'll go from there. All right, here we go.
Welcome to the Fallen State. I'm Jesse Lee Peterson. Abortion is still one of the most divisive issues in America today. I have with me Dr. Willie Parker, an OBGYN specializing in abortions. He's also the author of Life's Work, a moral argument for choice. Dr. Parker has been featured in Esquire, NPR, New York Times, Rolling Stone, Newsweek, and more. Thank you so much for being here.
Did y'all see the doctor's face? He did not like that intro at all.
Pleasure.
What made you decide, you know what, I'm going to do abortions?
Somebody once said, when you wrestle with your conscience and you lose, you actually win. And for me, that wrestling with conscience started about 14 years ago. The reality is that 1 in 3 women in this country by the time they're age 45 will have an abortion.
Amazing.
And it's the most common healthcare procedure that is offered. It's also one of the safest, but it's also one of the most controversial because it is a decision that is unique to women. My awareness as a physician of what happens to women when that care is not available convicted me around what it meant to be a woman's health care provider and to be a Christian, which ultimately led me to conclude that there was nothing doctrinally or specific about abortion in sacred texts, whichever one you're talking about, nor was there anything that prohibited women from having control over their lives and their bodies to make the same decisions that men are entitled to make as moral agents.
That's amazing. How is abortion a health care procedure?
So when a woman has a pregnancy that affects her health or that she decides to end, if she doesn't have an opportunity to end it safely, anything that risks or ends poses a risk to your health is a healthcare issue.
But it's not.
Now the doctor said some things there. One thing about this topic that always kind of gets me is that they always started from after the fact. And as we move forward into the kingdom, because the kingdom of heaven will be on earth. It's going to happen one day. And as we move forward with each moment to that better way, we have to come to an understanding as human beings, as people, that we know how babies are made. Babies are made by sex, period. Between a man and a woman. That's how babies are made. So let's start there. We always like to start the conversation from the middle point, like, well, she's already pregnant or this, that, and the other, or she's already in college. We know how babies are made. So are we getting more and more enlightened? Is the enlightenment birth control pills? Is that enlightenment? Is it the abortion pill? Is that the enlightenment? Or is the enlightenment the understanding that we know how babies are made? So let's start there. Let's promote that type of idea. We know how babies are made. So Starting with that, just that basic understanding right there, there's pretty much never a reason to get an abortion if you know how babies are made. You understand what I'm saying? I don't like how they always frame these arguments from the point of the worst possible situation.
That 1 in 3 women in this country by the time they're age 45 will have an abortion.
Amazing.
And it's the most common health care procedure that is offered. It's also one of the safest, but it's also one of the most controversial because it is a decision that is unique to women. My awareness as a physician of what happens to women when that care is not available convicted me around what it meant to be a woman's health care provider and to be a Christian, which ultimately led me to conclude that there was nothing doctrinally or specific about abortion in sacred texts, whichever one you're talking about, nor was there anything that prohibited women from having control over their lives and their bodies to make the same decisions that men are entitled to make as moral agents.
That's amazing. How is abortion a health care procedure?
So when a woman has a pregnancy that affects her health or that she decides to end, if she doesn't have an opportunity to end it safely, anything that risks or ends poses a risk to your health is a healthcare issue.
But it's not a healthcare issue it's a healthcare issue for the baby, the unborn child, in that you're killing the baby. So I don't know how that is a healthcare issue for the child.
Well, so one of the things that when people describe abortion that way, the way I look at of calling abortion murder, or they call a developing pregnancy a baby, what they're telling me is that they have a certain understanding about what a baby is or about what they think healthcare is. If we're going to be precise in our language, baby is a cultural term, it's not a scientific or medical term. And you're not a baby before you're born. You're entitled to say that you don't believe that women should have abortion. But because of our laws, you're not entitled to block a woman from having an abortion, or you're not entitled to force a woman to.
It seems like they're using science and these words to kill us, if that makes sense. It's like they use the words for the worst possible outcome. We don't call it a baby because that's a cultural term. We want to call it a fetus. So it'd be one thing if the word fetus was thrown around as a way to save life or create life, but it's thrown around as a way to justify ending one. And it's just a strange thing where it seems like a lot of the words that are coming out of these universities and out of these intellectual think tanks are used to destroy.
But aren't you taking a life inside the womb? Aren't you taking a life?
Actually, a pregnancy, when you do an abortion, yes, a pregnancy does end a life. But does it end a person?
So you are killing an unborn child if you're taking a life. You're not taking the life of an animal. You're not taking the life of the woman, so you're taking the life of a child. Is that right?
I disagree with you. I understand what you're saying.
You are killing an unborn child, right?
I'm not killing an unborn child.
You're taking the life of an unborn child.
I'm ending a pregnancy.
But does that require you to take the life of the child that's in the woman's womb?
I don't define a pregnancy as a child, and
does it have a life? Is it a living?
It is a living entity. It is a life. It is a human being, because women don't have puppies. But it is not a baby. And if it were a baby, it would be a person, correct?
So the reality
let me finish.
So the reality is you are taking a life.
So
is that true or not?
Do you want to have a dialogue, or do you want to let me answer your question, or do you want to answer my question?
Answer the question about are you taking a life?
Okay. Yes, an abortion ends a life. Now, what I asked you was, you're saying a pregnancy is a baby, right?
It's an unborn child.
It's an unborn child. Okay.
Yes.
So if I kill a child, that's murder, right?
You mean the one that's
If I kill a child,
yes.
You say, okay. So if I'm killing a child, if I'm doing an abortion in an abortion clinic, if you call the police, will they come and arrest me?
They won't because of the law.
Why?
But that still
What
doesn't
does the law
take away.
say?
That still doesn't take away the fact that you're taking a life. And we both agree that you are taking a life.
Correct.
Do you believe that
So Jesse, his approach is actually childlike. And that's one of the best ways to look at some of these situations. Look at it as if you're a 5-year-old child. Are you ending a life? It's a yes or no thing. Yes, he is. We have to face that reality. And going back to those words again, Planned Parenthood. You know, when I first heard that term as a young man, I might have been in my early teens, maybe even 11 or 12. I'm not sure when they started really throwing that term out there, Planned Parenthood. But my initial thought was like, it was like for families and stuff like that. And it's not.
Human beings are in a fallen state.
No.
You do not, and why
No.
not?
Because I think that it requires a biblical literalism, and it requires an understanding that says that everybody is immoral and that they have to be redeemed in some way. I have a different understanding and a different significance of what the life of Jesus Christ meant.
You grew up in the South, you were a Christian,
Absolutely.
and you believed at one point that we were in a fallen state due to sin, and we needed to repent.
I have
and
that
overcome
understanding, yes.
What changed your mind
What
about
changed
that?
my mind is
Yes.
I understand that the Bible is a sacred text and that I don't approach the Bible literally as the Word of God. There have been too many translations. Do you speak Aramaic?
No.
Do you speak Hebrew?
I don't.
Or do you speak Greek?
I don't.
Those were the original texts of the Bible, right?
Right.
The Bible's been translated into English, right?
Right.
You can have different versions, even in English, there are different translations. That doesn't mean that the Bible's not significant as sacred text, but it means, do you have to approach the Bible as being literally true? I don't.
So you grew up in Alabama. You
Yes.
believed at one time that we were sinners who need to repent.
Absolutely.
What in the Bible did you read that said to you, no, that's not true? Did you read something in the Bible that changed your mind?
No,
or
it
you
was
just
how I chose to read the Bible that changed.
You know, a lot of people, I've seen a lot of people use the Bible or try to go at the Bible as if the Bible is Christianity. And I would argue that big time. The Bible is a great tool, but even without the Bible, we know right and wrong already. It's already in us. We have to be taught to be okay with doing wrong. Because there's something inside of us naturally that makes us go, ugh, when we do something wrong. We have to be taught to accept doing wrong. We don't have to be taught to do wrong, but we have to be taught to accept it as a right. And I don't think the Bible, regardless if the Bible was here or not, that word would still be written in our hearts. I don't like when the doctors and people like that try to use the Bible as a way to justify something that's just definitely wrong.
And how did you
The Bible as a text can't reference itself.
So you decided that I'm going to read the Bible and change my mind that we are in a fallen state?
I decided that I was going to read the Bible and decide, how does the Bible speak to me and how does this Bible speak to us today, and so that it has relevance to us today? The Bible doesn't speak about traffic on the 405, right?
Not that I'm
No,
aware.
right. So how I behave on the 405 can be derived about what principles I say the Bible teaches me in terms of how I should interact with other people, right?
But how did you make up your mind, and what was it in the Bible that confirmed what you thought about the fallen state and about sin? Can you cite me one thing that said you're not a sinner or you're not in a fallen state? Was there something specific in the Bible that told you that?
Oh, no.
So you just made up your own mind about that?
Well, in accordance to Romans 12, you're absolutely right. I did make up my own mind where Paul said that every person needs to be persuaded in their own mind. If you may recall in the Bible, in the book of Romans, where people in the church were bickering about whether or not you literally should eat meat or herbs, Paul said, people you interpret the Bible according to being fully persuaded in your own mind.
Is it
That's how
possible
I
you
believe.
could be wrong now?
Yes, it is.
Okay.
Is it possible that you could be wrong?
No, absolutely not.
Okay. So that's where we differ. You can't imagine how you can possibly be wrong, and I question myself all the time. Voltaire said
I would if
that,
I were you.
and if I were you, I would question myself too.
Let me do this.
Have you ever changed your mind about anything?
I have.
Okay. And why don't?
But that's why I'm glad that
in order
you
for
at
you to
least
change your
questioning-
mind, you had to think about their other possibilities, right?
That's why I'm glad that you're at least thinking about the way you feel about Christianity and abortion now and sin and all that, because you are wrong. And by you thinking about it, maybe you get back on the right track.
Let me say to you.
It doesn't even matter what the abortion laws are on paper. It doesn't even matter. It's been illegal to murder on paper since Cain and Abel, but yet and still people still do it because it's the heart. So this thing about the laws and whatnot, who cares what the laws say? We have the power to start today, live today.
What made you think that you are a Christian?
Okay. Why do you question that?
No. You said you are, but what made you think that
Why
you are?
do you question that?
No, answer that for me. What made you think that you are a Christian?
Well, Why do you think that you're a Christian?
Can you answer that for me?
You answer
I'm doing
first.
an interview here. You're my guest.
Now, by this time, this doctor is so off his rocker right now. And all Jesse is just telling him the truth that he can't even understand this question. Jesse's not saying that he's not a Christian. Jesse's asking the man, in your own mind, basically, what makes you think you're a Christian? What about you makes you say, yes, this is how I know I'm a Christian? That's all he's asking him. But this guy can't see straight right now. He's blinded.
And that I don't have to open it to your scrutiny or anybody else's.
But that's not an answer. What is it about you?
It's not the answer that you want.
What is it about you that made you think today that you are a Christian? What is it
about you that allows you to question that?
What is it about you?
What authority do you hold to question that?
Well, I'm interviewing you.
He can't get past the
authority, and I'm giving you the
he's
information
blocked right
that
now.
You don't have the right to question that. If you ask me if I'm a Christian and I say yes, how are you going to verify that I am or not?
So there's nothing about you that can convince you that you are a Christian. No, I'm trying to get a better understanding of why you do the things you do.
Okay. I do the things I do because I believe that my conscience dictates what I should do, and I'm doing what I believe to be right. It doesn't have to meet your approval.
Let me ask, speaking of consciousness, do you have the mind of God or Satan?
You're asking me non-questions because if I say I believe that I have the mind of God, you're going to say, how do you know? If I say I believe I have the mind of Satan, you say, aha. So if you really want to do an informative interview, ask me some questions that are really about the issue that you want to talk about. And from what I understand.
What do y'all think about that question? Is that something that you guys would have a hard time answering? Do you think you have the mind of God or the mind of Satan? What do y'all think? What do y'all think? Is that an unfair question? But like I said, at this point, this guy is so frustrated with just somebody being honest with him that he can't even see straight.
And is it good to perform abortions or evil?
It's good to perform abortions when women seek them and they need them and they ask me to do it and I'm trained to do it and I provide it for them. Yes, it is good to provide
for the unborn child?
I don't know what an unborn child is. I know what a fetus is. I know when you give birth, you become a child. I know how to end a person.
What if instead of we calling them fetuses, we call them goobly gobblies? See, that's one thing about the words. The words can be corrupted. It's the spirit of what the action is. It's the actual action. You can call it a fetus, a goobly gobbly, a baby, a maybe, a cup. It doesn't matter. It's still the action. It's still the deed.
Right.
Because if you don't believe in him, then you're of your father, the devil.
Why does God have to be a he?
And your heart is evil.
How do you know God's a he?
How do I know? Mm-hmm. The proof is in the pudding.
What's
He's
the
not
pudding?
A she.
What's the pudding? How do you know that God's not a she?
Because he's a he.
So do you mean God has a penis?
He is a masculine source.
God has a penis?
That's ridiculous.
Is it? What does it mean to be a he?
You would say that.
What does it mean to have a he? What does it mean?
You have really lost your way.
Maybe it's perplexing to you that people think for themselves.
No, it's not perplexing.
But it is.
And you're not thinking for yourself.
Okay, well, I'm not thinking the way you think.
You are not thinking for yourself.
Well, I'll accept
One thing I know for sure.
Okay.
And without a doubt. There's some things I'm not sure about, but the one thing I am sure about, you're not thinking for yourself.
Okay. And you are?
No, I'm being influenced.
Who are you
thinking for? Influenced by what is right, and you're being influenced by evil.
Okay.
And you think that you're thinking for yourself.
Okay.
Yo, that's so real. We're not really thinking for ourselves, yo. We're all being influenced by something. That's part of the game. And you're either being influenced by something good or something evil. Period. We are, in a lot of ways, reactionary creatures on this earth. We are reacting to the environment around us. I like how Jesse puts that right there. We all are being influenced. We have to kind of understand that.
Yes, it's true.
Amazing. And do you still do that?
Why?
Do you still travel miles? Because we were talking about abortion a year.
Okay.
Do you still travel miles to perform abortions?
I still perform abortions, yes.
And so you still...
One thing I've noticed when Jesse interviews people, when they're wrong, they don't want to talk about it. Like, if you feel like you're doing right, why are you offended? He's saying, why? Why? You know, if you have a normal job and you're proud of your job and they say, hey, well, do you still do your job here, there, and the other? And if you like your job and you feel like your job is good and you're doing good, you'll say, yeah. But he's like, why? Why?
Provide abortions in Alabama, Pennsylvania, Georgia, and Illinois?
No, just in my home state of Alabama.
Just in Alabama now? Mm-hmm. How many abortions have you performed in your career?
As many as necessary.
And how many is that?
As many as necessary.
Oh, let me ask, how many months? Do you do it at 12 months? I mean, the ninth month if the woman wanted?
No, that's not legal.
Where do
and,
you, if it was legal, would you do it?
Well, I don't answer hypotheticals, and 88% of abortions in this country happen in the first 12 weeks of pregnancy before there's any point of viability. And part of
I want to talk about this time frame thing here because in my state here in Texas, a few years ago, the governor and them signed some kind of law where they shortened the time frame that a woman can have an abortion to, I think, 5 or 6 weeks, and people were upset about that. I think that's almost a game too, though. That's almost a trick because if the woman and the man know that they only have 5 or 6 weeks to make that decision, they're probably going to make that decision more under stress and just do it with a pill or something like that. So some people as Christians look at it and say, see, yeah, we're doing good on abortion. Are you really? Because all you're doing is just forcing people to like have the sex and then just go to the clinic and get a pill right away. But maybe if it was 8 months and the woman is 6 months pregnant, maybe and the man sees it and the woman sees it and then they decide to have a baby. So either way it goes, the laws are not made for you to have less abortions, even when they cut the time frame down to 5 or 6 weeks. It's all a trap.
I keep pushing back on your language because to talk about an unborn pregnancy as a baby is very inflammatory. Stages of development matter. If you say that a baby and a fetus are the same, it's like saying also an oak tree and an acorn are the same. Is it the same if you step on an acorn as you chop down a 100-year-old oak tree? It is not. And that's why as a trained physician...
You can't compare an acorn to a baby,
well,
a human being.
Don't get lost in the analogy. That's the ability to think in a critical...
That's not very nice.
Well, it's not a matter of being nice.
So I want to know, once you pull this baby out of the womb...
I don't pull babies out of the womb.
After you kill the baby inside the womb...
I don't kill babies.
And you suck it out, however you get it out.
I remove pregnancies by standard medical techniques.
And when you see
at 12 weeks, that is a suction procedure.
And when you see that child, when you
the
see
procedure,
that,
or do you want to talk about the rhetoric that you want to engage in?
Let me ask, when you see that child, does it bother you at all?
It doesn't bother me at all.
It's strange because Jesse described it how he wanted to describe it, right? But the doctor's offended by the way Jesse's describing it, which is almost an indictment on the doctor's spirit, or I guess you want to say. Because if it's just a fetus, why would you be offended by him saying you suck it out and this, that, and the other? If it's just a fetus.
To end a pregnancy that a woman doesn't want, because the woman who comes to me is my patient.
The woman that's killing it, having her child killed in her womb, does she give that child life?
Nobody gives anybody life. Life is a process. We all participate in the process of reproduction.
So she doesn't give life. What gives her the right to take a life?
Okay.
I want to hit on this part real quick because I like this point right here Jesse makes. Does it give her the right to take a life? Now I'm going to extend it to the men too. I think the men need to be, I think if the men are right, the women won't have abortions like that. If the men are following God, women won't have abortions. If men are following God, a woman wouldn't even have the ability to have an abortion because she wouldn't be having sex until she's married. Now, I'm not speaking to y'all as somebody who's lived a life of just straight and narrow. I'm a victim speaking on how I was victimized and how it led me to do silly stuff and things that, not even silly stuff, things that were wrong, just wrong. The question about what gives her the right to take a life or what gives him the right to take a life. None of us picked anything about our existence. We didn't pick to be black. We didn't pick to be white. We didn't pick to be any other race. We're here. We didn't pick our parents. We decided none of that stuff. So, I mean, all the evidence points that we don't have a right to judge each other based on who we are and what we are as far as like our race. That's why this whole idea of racism is fake, because it's not like you pick to be black or white. We don't have the right to be trying to decide life and death like that. God has a way of killing. God has a way of making alive. Our job is to promote the love and promote the life.
Nobody gave her life. She can't give life. We all are here.
So what gives her the right to take a life?
Well, you know, what gives her the right to end a process that's going on in her body is that she is a human being with the ability to make decisions about herself, right?
So
Is there any process, if you wanted to have your gallbladder taken out, would anybody question you? Do you have to get anybody's permission to have anything done in your body?
A gallbladder and a baby is not the same.
Well, a gallbladder's in your body.
See, you notice you can't compare life to nothing else. You can't compare life to a gallbladder. You can't compare life to an acorn. It doesn't match.
And a fetus is in her body.
I'm making the choice about the gallbladder, or the gallbladder has some problems, and making the choice.
And women do the same thing about pregnancies.
A woman who kills her children on the inside is making a decision about another human being's life.
I'm not gonna argue with you. If you want to have I've never walked out of an interview, but if you want to have a meaningful conversation, ask me some meaningful questions. Otherwise, this interview is over.
I'm about to now.
Okay.
But I thought the whole conversation had been meaningful so far.
That you're indifferent to.
Should the father have a say-so about his child?
Should the father have the say-so over a process that's going on in a woman's body? No.
Is that his child in the woman's body?
A pregnancy, when a woman is carrying a pregnancy, whoever she decides the paternity is related to, and if they have the kind of relationship where she wants to have that, a woman doesn't have to relinquish control of her body to anyone.
Is that his child inside of her body?
I guess it depends on what state you're in, right? There are states that say that a woman, before she can end a pregnancy, has to get the permission of a man, even if he's a rapist. So
is that his child inside the woman's body?
Yeah, no, because a woman doesn't have property.
You didn't really say no.
No, it's not his child. It's if they continue that pregnancy,
well, how is it her child?
Their child, right?
How is it her child?
When she gives birth. Well, as I said to you, when
you really said no, it's not his child.
It's not as a property as he has some claim.
You put all that extra stuff onto it.
Okay.
You just said no, it's not his child.
It's not his child.
Amazing, man.
Okay, right.
So tell me about
this. I know
this
it's amazing to have somebody to think critically and to not just kind of roll over and let you run over them because you ask questions that have an agenda. But yeah, that can be amazing when you hear that other people can think too.
So you believe you're thinking?
Well, the evidence, as you said, the proof's in the pudding.
So does it bother you that every day, according to Black Genocide, that every day between 1,200 to 1,500 black babies are aborted every day?
It doesn't.
That doesn't bother you either?
Babies. No, it doesn't, because abortions come from unplanned, unwanted pregnancies or lethally flawed ones. And unplanned pregnancies, African American women, followed by Latina women, have the highest rate of unplanned pregnancy. So it stands to reason that when a woman has an unplanned pregnancy and she decides not to keep it, that the people going to have the highest rate of abortion are going to be the people who have the highest rate of unintended pregnancy.
Does it make it right just because
I want to touch on a couple things real quick. It said 14 to 1,500 abortions a day within the quote-unquote black community. There was a stat out there, and maybe I'll insert it into this video, where at one point in New York City, there were more black abortions than there were actual births. And you got to ask yourself why that is. Like, who is that helping? Who is that benefiting? This is an agenda. See, what y'all going to realize is that the black Americans are Jews. And there's so many things that just point to that. Watch this. I'm going to show y'all something. Watch this real quick. Stick with me. All right, we're in Exodus. This is the Bible. This is Exodus, okay? One of the 5 books of Moses. And one thing, if you notice, when the children of Israel, not the Jewish people, when the children of Israel were in any kind of bondage or they weren't right with God, one of the agendas against them was that they be persuaded to kill their babies, to kill the newborns, to abort. Let's read it right here. This is Exodus 1:16. And we're not going to read everything. We're going to read just this one verse. And he said, when you do the office of a midwife to the Hebrew women and see them upon the stools, if it be a son, then ye shall kill him. But if it be a daughter, then she shall live. They wanted to kill the boys. And then you can also look in the New Testament time frame, on the time of the birth of Jesus, there was another agenda at that time to kill those babies under 2 years old. Some kind of way, find a way to kill them. I believe the age was 2 years old. But there's always that agenda to kill the newborns. And how does that help us? There's people out here that want us to kill our babies. So what we have to do is do it the right way. Let's follow God. Let's not ask for reparations. Let's do it God's way. You know, one of the most gangster things that I think a man could be right now is to be a young man and maybe still be a virgin. And getting married and having sex with that one woman for the rest of his life. That's some gangster shit these days. Because it protects you from so much other bull crap. So I think we should be promoting that. And then in this society, it's so obvious that they're trying to set us up, because you can't have a society that porn is just readily available and everywhere, all over the place. Porn is everywhere. Porn is everywhere. Porn, they push the sex and the immorality on us as young kids. And then you say abortions is all willy-nilly and open. So you got the floodgates open on both sides. That's a plan of people who do not love life. And I'm a firm believer that black people, we have a special place in this world. We have a very special place in this world. I think if we stopped having abortions, the world would stop having abortions. I think our aura is that great.
Plan that they should kill the
Well,
child.
it makes it
Doesn't make it
right
right.
that a
Why
person
not
can
take
make their own
responsibility?
decision.
So
They
you-
are taking responsibility. They're not continuing pregnancies that they don't want.
So as a black American, seeing the devastating state of most black people in the country today, you're literally not bothered that every day between 1,200 to 1,300, 1,400 black babies are aborted. You're not bothered.
I'm not bothered by the fact that women are able to act in their own behalf, and I'm also not bothered by the fact that the majority of those women will.
All right, I'm going to stop it here. This video is pretty long right now as it is. I'm going to say a couple more closing words. Go watch the whole interview if you haven't seen it. It's interesting. Hey, listen, this is a touchy subject for a lot of people. But like I said earlier, we're alive today. If you're watching this video, you're alive right now. And we could always start fresh, start right now. That's the beauty of it. And we can do right starting now. Forget what happened in the past. We only have this moment. Okay? One thing real quick. Jesse brings up Margaret Sanger and Planned Parenthood later on in the interview. And the one thing about Margaret Sanger and Planned Parenthood that always gets me, especially with the black community, with black people, our people, my people. I can go to any barbershop pretty much in America, any black barbershop. And I've been to a lot of black barbershops. And I can talk about Margaret Sanger, and half the brothers in there know about Margaret Sanger, and they can tell you how there was a plan to exterminate black babies from back in her day, and how she had a plan to get us to kill our babies. And then in the very next breath say, they think a woman has the right to choose. So I'm like, yo, did she have an agenda or not? Here, let's look at her agenda real quick. Let's check it out. Watch what she said. Look, I'm going to pull it up. This is a quote from Margaret Sanger. Margaret Sanger, the founder of Planned Parenthood. Check it out what she says here, guys. The minister's work is also important, and also he should be trained, perhaps by the Federation, as to our ideals and the goal that we hope to reach. We do not want word to go out that we want to exterminate the Negro population, and the minister is the man who can straighten out that idea if it ever occurs to any of their more rebellious member. So I guess I'm a rebellious member. And see, y'all see that word ministers and y'all think it's just the pastors. No, your ministers today are your guys, these doctors. Your ministers today are these podcasters. Your ministers today are these politicians that you guys vote for. Your ministers today are Black Lives Matter. Your ministers today are the media. People who minister to you, people who tell you things. That was their goal. Hey, let's run an experiment. Let's see that if we cut down on that big time, right? We start doing it the right way. Let's see who get mad about that. Let's say instead of 1,500 abortions a day, there's 10. Let's see who would get mad. Or do you think they would celebrate and say, great news? There was only 10 black abortions today. How about if we can get to 0? How about if we can have one day where not one baby is aborted? Just one day where you say, you know what? Not today. You think anybody be mad about that? We can do this as a people. We can find a way to live on this planet the right way. We can find a way to get rid of some of this pain, because they're pushing pain. Any society that would promote abortion, promote and sexual immorality in the same breath, they don't have good ideas. The people that are pushing that idea do not follow truth. So with that being said, let's follow truth, right? Let's love one another. Let's do our women right. Let's train our sons to respect women, to respect their bodies, respect the covenant that we made with God. With that being said, I'll see y'all next time.